What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video, and today we're going to be diving into the very first part of the tell-all of the latest season of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. So as promised per my last video where I spoke about the last couple of episodes leading up to the tell-all, I promised that I was definitely going to be keeping you guys updated with regards to the actual tell-all. So here we are, finally. I've watched part one and I have some things that I would like to talk about. So I am also in the midst of trying to detangle my hair before my wash day. So yeah, you guys are going to be seeing a little bit of that as well. I need to put my hair in sections and then detangle. Usually I would use my African Pride pre-shampoo, but I'm currently out of that. So I've just been kind of using like back and forth between flaxseed gel and also this just conditioner and water concoction that I have in my spray bottle. I have that and also my sister's unbrush because I broke mine. But yeah, this has been working wonders with detangling. But I'm gonna quickly put my hair in sections and then we're gonna start on this tell-all. Okay, now y'all don't say nothing. I know I look crazy, but I believe in multitasking. So that's how we're gonna get this done today. So this time around, it kind of looks as though they are all staying together at this house, this big mansion. And I'm very much so worried because I don't know if all of these personalities are going to gel too well to actually live together. But of course, I think that's pretty much what they're trying to do, is see if they could egg on some drama. Because it wouldn't be a TLC show without some drama, right? So all the couples are heading to this house except for Mahmoud and Nicole. I think they ended up leaving the show because of some domestic dispute or a domestic issue. Now, what exactly happened, I don't know, but that's just what I've been seeing when I Google them. So y'all can let me know if y'all saw any further information. So the couples are going to be spending a good amount of time at the studio filming, but also at this house together, like I said, in this mansion. Patrick and Thais, they end up being the first couple there at the house. And then there was Jasmine and Gino, but of course, Patrick and Thais had already picked the largest room in the house. Good on them, because I would have done the same thing. But Jasmine and Gino end up coming in, and Jasmine is already complaining about all the snow because I think this is somewhere in New York. She is not in a good mood, but she is looking forward to seeing Liz, but definitely not Angela and Big Ed, and that's totally understandable. So Jasmine comes in with her pageant sash on, and even Patrick was just like, girl, why do you have this sash on? Like, it looks so strange. But she is proud of that sash, honey, okay? Best believe it. We also find out that Gino and Jasmine aren't even sleeping in the same bed in their home back in Michigan, and I'm not surprised at all because they ended that last episode off really rough. But what gets me is that they have this argument in front of Patrick and Thais, and Jasmine ends up giving Gino this ultimatum that the only way they'll sleep in the same bed is if they have sex, and Gino just flat out refuses. He's just like, no, I'm gonna sleep on the couch or somewhere else because no, we're not having sex. And I'm just like, wow, you would rather sleep on a couch or somewhere else in the house than just have sex with your wife? Like, really? Even Patrick was just so confused. He's just like, I don't even know what to say about that because that's just so weird, but that's the place they're in. So then comes Kobe and Emily shortly afterwards. And Emily is actually 8 months pregnant at this point with their third child. Then we have Manuel and Ashley. They pull up at the same time as Kobe and Emily. And according to Ashley, she and Manuel are actually in a good place, but just at the moment, she stresses at the moment, okay? Because that could always change, honey. Now the men are in the kitchen, they're drinking, and Kobe straight out just asked Gino how things have been in the bedroom for him and Jasmine. And of course, we know that that is non-existent. So then comes Liz by herself, obviously, and she looks so happy. It's actually been 6 months, at least at that point, that she had seen Ed, and then he walks in a couple hours later, and it's a little awkward, I'm not gonna lie, until they're pretty much alone and they get a chance to speak to each other by themselves. And Ed just says to Liz that he misses her, and Liz is just like, please don't do that. Like, she gets emotional because obviously she still loves him. She's definitely not in love with him, because you can't just automatically just turn off your feelings for someone, even though it's Big Ed, you know, of all people. But yeah, I understand where she's coming from. There is Lauren and Alexi, and shortly after them is Sophie and Rob. So Sophie says that they're just hanging out with each other at this point. They're not putting a label on what it it is that they're doing right now. Basically, they're still married, but they're separated, I guess, because technically she says after that whole situation with Rob coming to read her a breakup letter, okay, that situation, they pretty much had broken up and they weren't talking to each other, but now they're back together-ish. Sorta. And then we had the whole issue with Angela and Michael not even showing up for the first night at the house. They actually ended up staying at a hotel, but we'll get into that story later. The drama continues the next morning when they start filming at the tell-all studio space. That's pretty much the first day of filming. And that's when we find out that Jasmine and Gino had an argument that started with her not really feeling comfortable getting ready with him in the room together, which I would say is kind of weird, but at the same time, also Gino not wanting to sleep with his wife in the same bed, and just because, you know, she asked for a little bit of schmexy time and he doesn't want to give it, you know, it's a little strange. So I think both of them are just really uncomfortable around each other at the moment, and it's just kind of reflecting in those actions. Everyone's getting ready at this point, and there was still no Angela and Michael, so everyone is just coming to this conclusion that Angela doesn't want anyone to hear Michael's side of the story because it's been so many years of just her and then him on a screen. But now that he's finally in the US and is able to talk for himself, she just doesn't want to show up, is what everyone's thinking. This is before they actually show up, okay? Because they were so late, they end up having to stay at a hotel in separate rooms, we find out. But then shortly after that, Michael ends up walking in. He says hi to everyone. He's already dressed. Angela walks in and meets all the other couples, and of course she starts an argument with Michael straight away. As soon as she sits down, she starts yelling at this man. I'm like, Jesus, like, do y'all ever take a break? And I can't even say y'all. Like, does she ever take a break? Like, she is always on 100. She's also telling the other couples to mind their business, because at one point Rob is just like, you need to calm down, pretty much. Like, why do you keep talking to him like that? It's very interesting that she tells them that they need to mind their own business, but then proceeds to tell all of their business herself. Anyway, that's just really ironic. Michael can't even get a word in during this little spat that they had before they even started filming, as per usual. But even Manuel had to straight up ask Ashley in Spanish, like, is Michael her son or her spouse? Like, which one is it? But everyone is pretty much ushered onto the set. And then we get into the couples finally and all their drama. So first, we talk to Ed and Liz. And Ed is back serving at his church, so he says. It's kind of strange that he starts off with, you know, church. It's just like, okay, Ed, good for you. I don't know if he just wants to kind of put forth this like facade that he's this man of faith and he's such a good person. Like, that's just what I'm gathering, you know, that's how I feel. He also claims that he isn't dating anyone, but we find out from Liz that he was on a dating app just 1 month after she left. But I'm trying to figure out how exactly she knew that. Like, who did you like get that information from, or were you on the dating app yourself and saw him? So they reflect on when Ed decided to call off the wedding during the season, and how Ed didn't actually even tell Liz anything before she heard from their own officiant. She had to find out from a third party, not even her fiance, that the wedding was called off. Yeah, Ed literally takes no accountability, and now people are pointing that out because he keeps throwing it back to Liz, saying that her temper was the issue and he couldn't really fix her. Which I think is just such a narcissistic thing to say, instead of just saying it was kind of my fault, take my ownership where it needs to be taken. With Ed, it's just like, no, it's all Liz's fault. It's all because she has a temper and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I had to leave because I couldn't fix her. Like, who says that? Only a narcissistic person would say some stuff like that. But anyway, so we find out that Liz didn't want to actually meet in a bar, because remember they were gonna have a conversation about the whole calling off the wedding thing. She actually told them that she didn't want to meet in a bar because apparently one night she ended up seeing Ed hugging this woman in the bar a little while before, you know, the whole wedding cancellation thing. He was hugging up on this woman at this bar, and she was just like, yeah, we're definitely not meeting up at this bar. that's for sure. So then they invite Liz's mom onto the stage, and she still wants to kill him, okay? She is so angry with this man. Her mom feels as though Liz does have a temper though, but it's only triggered because of Ed and how he treats her. He pretty much treats her like a doormat is what her mom says, which I do think he definitely does, okay? Let's be real, he definitely treats her like a doormat. We also find out that she is seeing a new man, which is what I really wanted to say back in my other videos when I was talking about Ed and Liz and their breakup situation, because I had seen pictures probably halfway into the season with Liz walking around town with this new man of hers, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say anything until they say something, so I'm not gonna ruin it. But we hear from Liz that sounds as though, at least from her, that they are in a good place, her and her new man, whose name is Jason, I believe. But I find it so interesting that Jason, he comes in, he sits down next to Liz, just kind of flat out says to Ed that he didn't really have anything to say to him directly, but if he's disrespectful to Liz anymore, then he'll have to deal with him. And I was like, okay, all right, Jason, we see you. Liz's mom also loves Jason, which is great, but Jason admits to having arguments like any normal couple would, and that's when Ed says to Jason, don't sweep things under the rug. You better deal with the issues or you'll be sitting up here just like I am. And I was like, Ed, you put yourself in this predicament. Are we being for real? It's just no accountability. None. You could see that Liz, like I said, you know, she's pretty happy even though they've only been dating for about 4 months at that point. It's probably longer now. They were also deciding to move in with each other, and that's where I think things tend to go downhill, but if it hasn't yet, then they're in a good place for realsies. So now we're gonna move on to Gino and Jasmine. So Gino claims that he still loves Jasmine, but Jasmine pretty much says that she doesn't really feel loved, but she feels as though he is definitely controlling when it comes to money and also getting her driver's license, which is very interesting. You would think that he would want her to get a license so that he don't have to keep driving her around. But he claims that he actually did the research for her to get one of those tests done to even get her license. Jasmine says that she's actually the one that did that research, and I kind of believe her since he was dragging his feet on the whole filing of her adjustment of status paperwork, and he did finally file it, but it took forever for him to do. So I kind of believe that he wouldn't really be the one researching for her license. But Gino keeps repeating that he wants gratitude and credit from Jasmine for everything that he does ever. Obviously, yes, she should be thankful for you, grateful for what you do, but at the same time, don't expect her to be like kissing your feet, literally, because Lord, Jasmine be all up on this man's feet. I feel like he wants her to constantly be in this mode of, oh my gosh, thank you, like, you're amazing, thank you for bringing me here, you know what I mean? Like, it just too much. But Gino says he's not going to go through with the green card process because she keeps acting ungrateful. Okay, so he's not sure at the moment if he wants to go through with that, but at the same time, it's just like, you brought her to the US. Either y'all gonna have to break up or you gonna have to go through with that process regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems silly to me. But they end up bringing on Gino's family members. That was Michelle and Dana. And the first thing that Dana ends up saying is that Jasmine is actually a good communicator, which Gino definitely does not agree with. I partially have to agree with Gino disagreeing, because I do think for the last couple of years that I have seen Gino and Jasmine interact with each other on this show, it just really comes across as though Jasmine does not know how to express herself in a healthy way. She's been getting better throughout the years, but she still needs a lot of work, okay? So I gotta admit that. I don't think she's that great of a communicator, but I think she's gotten better. But again, I'm not the one living with her, Gino is. So recently I have been seeing a lot more of Gino's stubbornness and kind of ability to actually listen to what she is trying to say whenever she does get some words out without screaming. So I feel like, you know, her flare-ups have been less and less, but they still do happen. Now, Michelle claims that Gino doesn't really offer to do much for Jasmine, which definitely makes people look at Gino a little sideways. But Gino claims that he offers to do things for her and drive her places, but Michelle says that Gino would say that it's too much work and not actually do it. So that was interesting. She was singing like a canary. I'm like, geez, Gino, these supposed to be your family members? They supposed to be on your side. Like, dang. I find it interesting that he doesn't have a job at the moment. So it's like, what really consumes all of your time during the day? Like, what do you do? And of course, Jasmine, she has her little answer, little snarky remark. She's just like, oh, American football. But he's saying, oh no, I'm looking up like information on her paperwork and stuff like that. And I'm like, Gino, let's be real here. You're not doing that 24/7. So stop it, okay? It seems like Gino is kind of stuck in the past when it comes to his relationship with Jasmine, and it kind of affects their intimacy, but it feels like he's just using that as an excuse at this point. It just feels as though there's something much deeper going on that he doesn't want to say, or at least doesn't want to say in front of hundreds of thousands of people watching this show. I just think it's honestly something deeper. I don't think it's just Jasmine's like outbursts. Even though she does say some really mean things, I do agree with him. We've seen them on the show, but at the same time, it's like I get this vibe like it's something else along with it. But according to Jasmine, even when it comes to just getting a hug or a kiss from him, it's a struggle. I'm trying to figure out how they could even move past all of these things, but at the same time, I understand both sides. But anyways, we move on to start talking about Gino's corn addiction. Apparently, Gino had put in sugar baby or something into his search bar, into the site. So Jasmine was trying to figure out, like, why would you put those words in exactly? Considering that I think he had found Jasmine through a sugar baby site. Y'all correct me on that if I'm wrong. But anyways, so she was looking at him a little sideways, like, why are you looking at that stuff? That's pretty much it for part 1. You guys could let me know your thoughts on this one. I know that was a lot of information, but I was trying to definitely note everything that I thought should be noted, you know, with regards to this part 1. So if I went overboard, you could let me know, but yeah, I was just kind of like, this seems interesting. Let's put that in my notes. Let's talk about that, you know? Y'all let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I will catch you guys for part 2 shortly, so do stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.